What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the new Mesa Badlander 25. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name's Kyle. What I do is I take awesome high gain amps, guitars, cabs, speakers, pickups, pedals, overdrives. I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes with about 8 total riffs in their arsenal, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Especially right now, because I am pushing super hard to hit 20,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I have a lot of awesome stuff planned for December. So make sure that you hit that subscribe, help me out, and don't miss out. Thanks! Okay guys, so I am super excited today because we have the all-new Mesa Badlander 25 in the house. Way back at the very beginning of my channel, I purchased a Badlander 50 right when they were released because I, one, was really excited about it, and number two, I knew that it would bring some attention to the channel, and it did just that. So I am really happy to be, again, checking out the newly released Badlander 25 with you guys here pretty much right off the rip. It's only been out for about a week or so I am happy to have that opportunity to do so, and I have to send a huge thank you to Sweetwater because Sweetwater sent me one of these things as soon as they had one available. So again, massive thank you to Sweetwater for sending this baby out for me to do some terrible chugs on it. Affiliate link in the description below. So with that being said, jumping into the features of this amplifier, this is a 25 watt EL84 powered all tube amplifier. Now, two EL84s are not capable of 25 watts by any means, but it does get very loud. And obviously, as you can see, it's in a pretty small form factor here. All of the front panel controls are exactly the same as the big boys. Nothing has changed on the front here. We do still have a switch. You can switch it from 25 watts into 10 watts, which we will explore a little bit. Over here, we have basically our channel controls. Both of these channels can be essentially mirrored or cloned to be exactly the same channel to channel, but it gives you the option to select either clean, crunch, or crush on either channel so that you can set one up for clean, set one up for rhythm, set one up for rhythm, set one up for lead, however you want to do it. So that is a nice feature. On the back, pretty much everything is the same as well. We still have the Mesa cab clone built into this thing, so you have the option to go direct to the front of house or do some silent recording with this thing. We still have an effects loop. We have a headphone jack, so this thing is pretty packed with features, and it comes in at $15.99, which, you know, for current pricing, not terrible. I personally think that it would have made more sense to put this in the same size lunchbox head shell as the mini rectifier, but that's just my personal opinion. This isn't that much smaller than the larger rectifier, but it does come in at about 800 bucks cheaper. So if you are looking to get that Badlander tone and you're basically just playing in the studio or all of the times that you're playing out live, you can go direct to front of house. This thing will do just fine. But that 25 EL84 powered watch is not gonna be enough to hang with a drummer in a loud band situation. So keep that in mind. So yeah, that's pretty much the overview of the features. Let's go ahead and jump into the tones. If you're here for cleans and for like blues licks and stuff, you're in the wrong place. That's not what I do, as I said in the beginning of this channel. So you can stick around and hang out for the belligerent thrash riffs, or you can go ahead and leave an angry comment in the comments below. Either way, you're helping me out. So thanks. All right guys, so for that intro clip, I was using my LTD Phoenix 200 with an SH6 Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. We are going into my 1999 Mesa traditional 412 cab with the stock vintage 30s SM57 on that V30, and we were actually using the Earthquaker Devices plumes in front of this amp, and this is one of the only amps that I've really liked that drive in front of, but I thought it sounded really good. So we were on the crunch channel. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave the top channel set up for crunch, and I'm gonna put everything back to noon, and I'm gonna dial that gain back. We had the gain maxed out, and then whenever we go for the crush channel, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump down into the bottom channel controls here. We're gonna leave that on crush, we're gonna leave the crunch on crunch, we're gonna leave the top on crunch. I'm already falling apart here, it's gonna be a good day. So yeah, let's pull this crunch channel back to about noon, because under that, man, there is no saturation at all. The crunch channel is very light on the gain, and overall this amp does not have a ton of gain. It doesn't have as much gain as a rectifier, certainly doesn't have as much gain as something like a 5150, so the boost that you use in front of it is going to matter quite a bit. And I have hand selected a bunch of different overdrives for this particular amp because all these overdrives have a significant amount of output other than the Boss SD1, which is kind of a little bit more typical. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna kick the amp on. We are on the crunch channel, no boost, everything at noon here. Right off the bat, man, this is not like your typical Mesa where you have to basically do long division in order to figure out a setting that is going to work as far as the EQ goes. There is no guesswork here whatsoever. Right at noon, we're nice and balanced, and the EQ controls work as most normal EQ controls on other amps work. It is definitely not your typical Mesa where you have to get wild and crazy and experiment with a million different settings in order to land on a usable tone. So yeah, right off the bat, I think we need a little bit more presence, a little bit more treble in order to get some top end bite. Sounding pretty good, we're sounding nice and balanced, but of course we only have the gain at noon here. I want more gain. We're gonna turn it right up to 3 o'clock. And as you can see, it's getting somewhat saturated. I've got a hot pickup. This amp does react to playing dynamics as well, meaning if you don't dig in with your right hand, especially on that crunch channel, you're not gonna get saturated. If you play weak versus playing hard, it reacts very, very much to that, which means it's probably gonna react to dialing the volume back. Not great though. I mean, it definitely doesn't clean up all the way and kind of gets a little bit muffled as you dial that volume down. That's what the two different channels are for. So with that said, let's get a little bit more bass on this thing. Now, this amp is pretty famous for people thinking that it was going to be like a rectifier and have a wall of sound thing going on, but just be more modern. It definitely has a lot of those low end frequencies shaved off. It is incredibly tight. It's very percussive, but those bass frequencies are lean. You don't have a lot of those sub-low frequencies that give you that massive wall of sound, like the rectifier. So with that in mind, I still think that it has a healthy amount of low-end frequencies, especially if you're talking from a mix standpoint. You're going to want to cut a lot of those really deep frequencies anyways. But if you're playing by yourself or playing in a loud situation where you really feel like you need those lower frequencies, maybe your bass isn't covering them for whatever reason, probably because your band's not good, you're gonna find them sorely lacking. And finally, let's get that gain up all the way. So right there, again, I'm playing hard, hot pickup. It sounds pretty good. It sounds almost saturated enough for my liking. And again, I think we have enough low end. I'm gonna go ahead and crank it just to show you guys what's all on tap, and I'm gonna add a little bit of mid-range. Real quick before we jump over to the crush channel though, I'm gonna pull these mids back. Pulling the mids back definitely gets you a little bit more into the typical rectifier territory, and it definitely allows those lows to come forward. But I like my mids a little bit more than that, just showing you guys that pulling those mids back does make a pretty significant difference in the overall voice. This amp does sound really good though. I really like the voicing of the Badlander overall. With that said, let's go ahead, let's jump down into the crush channel. So we are on the crush channel, and I'm going to, just to show you guys, basically set it up exactly the same as I have the crunch channel set up, which is pretty much what we have going on here, and with the gain maxed out. So this is going crunch to crush, all the same settings. Now, from what I have been told, the crush channel on this amp actually has some sort of built-in overdrive circuit that's always on. So we have a lot more compression, we have a lot more saturation. So the low end is still nice and punchy. I personally would like a little bit more presence and a little bit more top end because our highs are getting kind of cut off by that compression. There is plenty of saturation, and this is with no boost, guys. No boost in front of the amp. It's so tight. This is an amp I could very much get away without using a boost whatsoever on and be completely happy. But you guys also know that I really like dialing in my own tones with an overdrive in front to further shape how my signal sounds going into the amplifier. So we're gonna go back to the crunch, and we're gonna turn on a different boost. So just to show you guys, here's the SD1 Waza, but we have it in the stock setting. This is all the output that this adds. So turning it on. This overdrive cuts a lot of lows. I like the overall voicing, but it cuts a lot of low end, and it doesn't quite add as much saturation as I would like. So moving over to the Ages, the Walrus Ages has a ton of output, probably the most output out of any overdrive that's not a TC integrated preamp circuit that I've ever tried. So that is a great option. We already heard the plumes. In my opinion, the Mesa Grit Slammer goes absolutely perfectly with this amp because it doesn't shelve a lot of those lows and it doesn't really add any mids, which this amp already has a lot of modern mids. And in all reality, that doesn't sound much different than the crush channel without a boost. Grit Slammer in front of this thing sounds awesome. Last but not least, this Westminster Effects Piper Drive has a lot of output and a lot of aggression, and I think it works really well with the Badlander. Sounds really, really good. But what happens when we tune a little bit lower on this amp? Does it hold up? We're in D standard. And let's go to drop C. Holds up just fine in my opinion. It seems like there's actually a little bit more compression going on, maybe in the power section because those lower notes are probably pushing the power section and the power tubes a little harder. We're fairly loud in the room. So if you do tune low and you're trying to play loud with this thing, you're probably gonna get a good amount of power section compression. You're gonna run out of headroom fairly quickly. Keep that in mind. But let's hear what this amp sounds like with some active pickups real quick, and then we'll test that 10 watt mode out, and then we're gonna call it a day. All right guys, so I now have the Epiphone Matt Heafy Les Paul custom guitar. This has the Fishman Matt Heafy signature pickup in it. We are on the Crush channel and I have no overdrives on. So it actually seems to react surprisingly well considering that there's a lot of compression and there is that built-in kind of tube screamer circuit on the Crush channel. We are in the active mode of these pickups and it doesn't seem to be overloading it at all. So our high end is kind of rolled off on these pickups. Let's go back up to that E standard tuning. All right, it reacts to the active Fishmans just fine. It doesn't seem to be overly compressing the front end. It actually seems really clean and really clear sounding. Last but not least, let's switch into that 10 watt mode. So we have quite a bit of a volume change for that first riff. I didn't adjust the gain just to show you the difference in volume. So now I'm going to raise the volume on my interface so you guys can hear the actual tonal differences. So it's quite a bit more compressed. A lot of that high end has come off. Overall, I think we need to add a little bit of treble, a little bit of presence. Wrong channel, little treble, little presence, and the gain is maxed out still, no overdrive. So yeah, that is the 10 watt mode, guys, and that is gonna do it for me today on the Mesa Badlander 25 watt amplifier. What did you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Always curious to hear your thoughts. For my personal opinion, I think that they nailed the Badlander sound. It seems like it's probably the same exact preamp that's in the Badlander 50 that is sitting off to my left here, and I will be making a comparison video to directly compare the 25 with the 50 in the very near future. But overall, the amp sounds awesome. I'm a huge fan of the Badlander voicing. The feel is completely different from a regular rectifier amplifier. But again, those EL84s and that much smaller power section for me is just a no-go, just because there's gonna be way too much compression, especially if you start tuning down. And with it not being that much significantly smaller and lighter than the Badlander 50, this amp for me personally just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, if you're trying to break into that Badlander world, you want that voicing, you want the feel of that amp, then this is going to come in significantly cheaper than the 50 watt model at $1,599, whereas the 50 watt model is $2,300 right now, I believe. That's my personal opinion. Again, I wanna hear from you guys. I wanna know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to meet you down there again. Huge thanks to Sweetwater for getting one of these in my hands right away so I can make some demos for you guys. Again, that Sweetwater affiliate link is down below in the description of this video if you wanna check this amp out and grab one for yourself. With that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and help me get to 20,000 subscribers before the end of the year. On your way out, if you're not already. Kyle here again, and we'll see you guys next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.